The news day continues here in One News Now Business. I'm Tego Castro. Here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. Unemployment in the country further eased to 4.5% in April. That's equivalent to 2.26 million Filipinos without a job, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority. The April unemployment figure is lower than the 4.7% or 2.42 million jobless Filipinos posted in the month prior. But while more Filipinos have secured a living over the past month, the underemployment rate climbed to 12.9%. That's around 6.2 million Filipinos looking to work more hours or an additional job. The latest figure is an increase from the 11.2% or 5.44 million underemployed workers logged in March. However, underemployment in April 2023 is lower than the 14% recorded in the same month last year. NEDA says the government wants to sustain recent improvements in the country's labor market by implementing crucial economic reforms. NEDA says the government will also leverage digital technology to enhance workers' employability and productivity. The central bank announces cuts in banks' reserve requirement ratio effective in June. Under the adjustments, the ratio for universal and commercial banks have been trimmed by 250 basis points to 9.5%. The BSP also cut the ratio for digital banks by 200 basis points to 6%. Thrift banks as well as rural and cooperative banks saw the ratio cut by 100 basis points to 2% and 1% respectively. The reserve ratio cut is meant to facilitate the central bank's shift to market-based instruments to manage liquidity in the financial system. The central bank says it will also offer 56-day securities to mop up excess liquidity. However, the Bangko Sentral clarified that lower reserve requirements do not signal a shift in its policy settings. Bangko Sentral said the Monetary Board would likely keep rates at 6.25% due to easing inflation. Bad loans of Philippine banks rose in April, bringing the non-performing loan ratio to the highest in 7 months. The Bangko Sentral reported that gross bad loan ratio increased to 3.41% in April from 3.33% in March. The April figure is the highest since the 3.42% recorded in September of last year. Some economists said interest rate hikes are starting to manifest in these numbers as servicing debt becomes more challenging. The pickup in bad loans might also have to do with higher inflation and the risk of recession abroad. In other news, President Bongbong Marcos assures the public that he is keeping close watch of the activity of Mayon volcano. According to the president, the government is now taking precautionary steps like evacuations to avoid casualties in the event that Mayon does erupt. The president also assures that the government is ready to assist those who will be affected by its potential eruption. Mayon volcano is currently still under alert level 3.
Naka-ready na naman tayo at ganun naman talaga ang ating ginagawa. We watch it very, very closely, make sure that any of the communities that could be affected are evacuated and are given assistance while they are evacuated until the time that they can return to their homes. So it's the same thing.
Vox, however, says it is now studying possible adjustments to the alert level over Mayon. Speaking on the big story, Director Teresito Bacolcol explained that they are now looking into several parameters that could raise the alert status for the volcano. Bacolcol said that there could be 2 scenarios: an eruption with sporadic explosions or a relatively quiet one like what happened in 2014.
We are waiting for an increase in sulfur dioxide. This would imply that new magma is intruding to the shallower part of the edifice. And we are also looking at increase in the mass flux as evidenced by longer lava flows. We are also waiting for an increase in the seismicity as well as the inflation of the edifice and of course minor explosions.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on The One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. Global Source Partners has kept its growth outlook for the country in 2023 and 2024. Global Source said it still expects the domestic economy to expand by 5.5% this year. However, this projection is below the government target range of 6 to 7% for 2023. Global Source says despite lower inflation expectations, it maintained its growth forecast as higher interest rates have started to work their way through the economy. Global Source is also keeping its 5.8% growth forecast to the Philippines in 2024. This, as Global Source notes, risks weighing on growth, including a recession in the United States and weaker than expected China recovery. The Transportation Department says its proposal to privatize NAIA will serve as, quote, baseline for investments in the airport. Business World quoted Under Secretary Roberto Lim as saying that they could issue a bid invitation by September. Last week, the DOTR submitted the proposal for NAIA privatization to the National Economic and Development Authority. Lim said the privatization could formally kick off by the first quarter of next year if they will follow an aggressive timeline. As for the 100 billion peso unsolicited proposal from the Manila International Airport Consortium, the official said this has yet to be evaluated. The consortium consists of 6 Philippine conglomerates and global infrastructure partners. According to Lim, they are scheduled to meet with officials of the consortium next week to seek answers to some preliminary questions. The Philippines is seeking a $300 million loan from the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank for financial inclusion projects. On its website, the AIIB said the financing will be used to leverage the national ID system and expand the digital payments ecosystem. The Beijing-based bank added that it will also support the Rural Bank Strengthening Program with targeted efforts for female entrepreneurs. The loan comes as the Philippines eyes to update the National Strategy for Financial Inclusion 2022 to 2028 with gender-focused targets. The Energy Department asked the World Bank to step up its financial support for the Philippines' shift to cleaner energy. Energy Secretary Rafael Lutilla thanked the World Bank for its Philippines report called Securing a Clean Energy Future. However, Lutilla says that if the World Bank wants the country to achieve this, financing should be made available to Manila. The energy chief says the World Bank must invest in the Philippines, like it did with alternative energy sources in Vietnam, Indonesia, and South Africa.
I go back again to my challenge to World Bank and our other development partners that the green transition or the climate transition or the securing a clean energy future must be a just and fair transition. Unfortunately, we are not part of any of the just energy transition partnerships that have already been put in place.
Lutilla also hints at the government's plans to invest and once again operate the transmission sector, which is currently under the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines.
Once the government has fiscal space, the government will revisit and reevaluate financing investment in transmission. Financing in investment will be separated from the regulatory structure of transmission tariffs.
And those are the top business stories of the hour. I'm Diego Castro. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News. All sides, all the time.